"Oh dear, grab the handrail," Mum called. But the concern in her voice was exaggerated and insincere, and she laughed out loud when I stumbled and fell, smacking my head into the wall at the bottom of the stairs. I was still lying on the worn carpet in the hallway, shocked and disorientated, when Dad ran out of the living room and crouched down beside me. "Jesus Christ, Maggie," he shouted at Mum, who was standing smirking halfway down the stairs. "What happened? And what's so funny? She's hurt herself." "Well, don't blame me." Mum put her hands on her hips and glared angrily at us both. "It's not my fault she's clumsy and stupid. She tripped." For a moment I was forgotten as they shouted and swore at each other. So I sat up, touched the painful bump on the side of my head very gently with my fingertips, then examined the red mark on my elbow that I knew would soon develop into a bruise. It felt as though someone was pounding on the inside of my skull with something very heavy, and as the sound of my parents' angry voices filled the air above me, I could feel tears stinging my eyes. But I was determined not to cry. "What happened, Zoe?" Dad put his hands under my arms and lifted me to my feet. "I told you she tripped, didn't you?" Mum was smiling the nasty smile again, although less broadly this time, maybe because she didn't want Dad to see it as he guided me into the living room, where he sat me down in her chair, saying, "I'll get you some juice. That'll make you feel better." It was rare for anyone to be kind to me at home, and although the memory of it makes me sad when I think about it today, I was too scared at the time to appreciate Dad's concern for me, because I knew that as soon as he'd gone to work, Mum would find a way of making me pay for his attention. I think Dad knew about some of the things she did to me, which was why he sometimes got angry with her, like he did that day. He certainly wasn't aware of all of them, though, as she was careful to hide her treatment of me, particularly when I was very young, and I didn't ever say anything because I knew that if I did, my parents would shout and maybe fight with each other for a while. Then Dad would go out, and I'd be left alone with Mum. So that time when she pushed me down the stairs is one of only very few occasions I can remember when Dad stood up for me. And although he did sometimes say nice things to me when I was a little girl, Mum always seemed to be standing behind him whenever he did, looking at me over his shoulder with a spiteful expression on her face that said quite clearly, "Just you wait until he's gone to work." Some of the very few good memories I have of my early childhood are of standing at the front door waving to my dad as he left the house in the mornings. The happy feeling was always short-lived, however, and it would disappear as soon as the door closed, because I knew that, for the next few hours, it would just be Mum and me. I loved both my parents when I was a little girl. Although my mum treated me very badly and I was afraid of her, I thought it was my fault she didn't seem to love me, and I desperately wanted her affection. With my dad, it was different, and despite the fact he very rarely actually did anything nice for me, he sometimes stood up for me, didn't hit me, and wasn't nasty to me the way that Mum was. So I really did love him. In the years before, I learned to be frightened of him too. I can't recall one single instance of Mum ever being nice to me. She had only two sides to her when it came to her dealings with me, stern or nasty, and she could be very violent. In fact, the only time she ever touched me when I was a little girl was when she was pulling my hair or slapping, pinching, punching or kicking me, beating me with her fists or hitting me with the heel of her shoe, a book, or on one occasion, a baking tray. She didn't ever hug me or put her hands on me for any other reason except in anger. And it seemed that she was always angry with me, however hard I tried not to do anything that might irritate or antagonize her. It wasn't until much later that I realized I didn't really do anything to justify her cruel mind games and vicious physical attacks. To my mum, I was simply a scapegoat, someone to blame for all the problems she had, many of which must have resulted from her own damaging childhood, although I didn't find out about that until much later, when it was almost too late for me to be able to understand and accept the truth, which was that I had never really been the problem at all. She would sometimes throw things at Dad too, or smash ornaments when they were fighting.